Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Thursday, December 17th, 2020. I am Andrew Hansen alongside Shane Caldwell, and it's time for the Week 15 main slate, and it's the quarterback show. And Shane, nothing says Week 15 in the NFL like looking out your window and seeing 10 inches of fresh snow and a car stuck in the driveway. That's what I'm seeing outside my window today. It's December football time.
Yeah, you got hit. You guys got hit up there in the Northeast region. It like went below us in the Midwest and went right up there. So yeah, we're still clear up here in Michigan. So I'm okay with that. I'll delay the snowstorm for a couple more weeks maybe. So I don't really care if it's a white Christmas or not. But you're definitely gonna have a white Christmas. So you're
Oh,
good
it's
to go.
white here for sure.
And let's hope that Santa's gonna bring you some good fantasy wins this week. Also, early Christmas present in week 15.
Absolutely. Let's hope Santa brings all of our listeners some big fantasy production this week. And we got to start with some quarterbacks and figure out who's in a position that's they're not going to have to deal with bad weather, a bunch of snow. They're going to be able to play their normal game. And so let's do that. Let's go position by position here, and we'll look at some of these totals, courtesy of betus.com.pa. On the main slate, 11 games. There's only 3 games over 50 right now, so a little bit different week than normal. So let's figure it out here. Where are you looking first with quarterbacks?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at Patrick Mahomes. I always say when Mahomes is on the main slate, you have to take a look at him. He's going on the road to New Orleans. It's going to be one of the higher scoring games at 51.5 over under. Kansas City, of course, favored by 3. That tells me it should be a close game, probably a shootout back and forth. New Orleans has a great defense. They are a tough team, but they're tough to run against, which means they're pretty much a pass funnel defense. That's what Kansas City wants to do anyways. And Kansas City, they have so many weapons and such a good scheme, they can find the mismatches in the secondary there. So I'm not really worried about the matchup, even though they're good against quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts had a pretty good game against them last week, passing. And obviously he's not really known as a passer. More of a running quarterback. But so I think Mahomes is going to get it done. You certainly have some good guys you can stack him with. And I like that this should be a shootout, that they're favored on the road, inside in the dome. You don't have to worry about cold weather, receivers dropping passes, that type of thing. So I like the environment for Mahomes. I think he's a guy you can pay up for in this game. The fact that it's a close game, they're not going to blow him out. He should still be passing in the fourth quarter. So I think Mahomes at New Orleans is a good pick this week. Definitely a guy you can pay up for.
I'm looking forward to watching that one. A real good test for Mahomes in that offense. So I'm excited to see if he produces. All right. The expensive quarterback for me that I'm looking at is Lamar Jackson. I really like how he finally put it together against Cleveland. They were just dominant on the ground. He was leading the way there. So I'm excited about Jackson and his fellow running backs, and they ran for 5 touchdowns against Cleveland. That was just incredible, and we saw his upside through the air too with that long pass to Brown to take the lead. So going against Jacksonville, who just got gashed on the ground by Derrick Henry, huge favorites here, 13-point favorites over under 47.5. So it looks to me like a bunch of touchdowns for Baltimore. We know that Lamar Jackson's going to be front and center and involved in those touchdowns, unless it's Dobbins or Edwards getting a couple on the ground. But I like Jackson here to have a monster game and be able to do a lot of damage through the air and on the ground.
Yeah, it's about that time we see a MVP caliber Lamar Jackson instead of middle of the road Lamar Jackson like we've been seeing. So definitely looking forward to him breaking out again. I'm going to go to another guy that gets it done on the ground here and through the air. I'm really liking these running quarterbacks this week, and Kyler Murray is no exception here. I love Kyler Murray. Seems like now maybe the shoulder injuries behind him. He's finally getting some rushing attempts again, which is very important to his fantasy production, as he was one of the top quarterbacks all year. And he's had a little bit of an off stint here, so people aren't thinking about him as much. Going up against Philadelphia, which is a pretty tough defense. They're kind of middle of the pack against quarterbacks, but I'm not too concerned about it. One thing I noticed is Philadelphia gives up the most rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks of any team. So that bodes well for Kyler Murray coming in now healthy.
Yeah, they give up
But
the most 80-yard rushes to quarterbacks that end in a guy just face planting.
yeah, exactly. And if Kyler Murray gets that chance, he will not face plant.
That's
He
right.
will not let the rest of his body get ahead of his legs or whatever happened there. No snipers on the roof over there
Right.
in Arizona, so we're good.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for Kyler Murray to have a huge game. Obviously, he's got some great receivers you can connect him with. And I think he's going to get it done through the air and on the ground here. And I think this is a sneaky shootout game. It's currently a 49 over under. Arizona is a pretty big favorite, 6.5 points favorite. Implied total approaching 28 points, so one of the better implied totals. So I like this afternoon game, and I think Philadelphia is going to be able to score on the other side with Jalen Hurts making that offense a little less predictable. So I look for a nice little shootout with two running quarterbacks in this game, and I'm looking for Kyler Murray to get it done here. And the Cardinals really have a lot to play for. They're really on the edge of the playoff push here, and if they don't get it done, they could get knocked out of the playoffs, which would be a huge disappointment considering that they played good. So Kyler Murray has a lot to play for, which means he's healthy. He's trying to make a playoff push for his franchise. He's going to run the ball more. And when this guy gets in the open field, he's really tough to tackle. I mean, in terms of his quickness, is ridiculous. So I look for him having one of those huge games on the ground and through the air. So fire up Kyler Murray this week.
Yeah, that game is going to be a war. Both teams got to, you really need that win. All right, next for me, Ryan Tannehill going up against your Detroit Lions. And this one, the odds aren't on the board right now at betus.com.pa because of the uncertainty with Stafford, but we expect the total to be over 50 and Tennessee to be heavily favored. And for me, Tannehill is a little bit more of a GPP play. His price is up a little bit. It's a great matchup, but it's one of those matchups where Tennessee really seems to have the option of, how do we want to attack Detroit? Do we want to pass it? Do we want to run it with Derrick Henry? I mean, obviously he's in a smash spot again. So if he goes for 150 and two, you don't have much left for Tannehill necessarily to have a ceiling game. So to me, it just comes down to, do they get the touchdowns through the air or on the ground? And if they get if they get three or more through the air, which Tannehill has shown that he is capable of recently, then he could pay off.
Yeah, and I think if Stafford's able to go, that could help Tannehill because Stafford might be able to actually go down and score a little bit on them. Where Chase Daniel is an okay backup, but I don't think he's going to be able to score that much enough for them where Tannehill is going to feel the need to keep throwing the ball. But yeah, they can do whatever they want. It's similar to when they faced off against Jacksonville. Pick however you want to score a touchdown because we're going to go score a touchdown basically. So it's just a
Right.
matter. There's always the possibility they want to start load managing Derrick Henry and get lightening his load a little bit instead of giving him 25 to 30 carries every week because you don't need him to win this game probably. So that's when Tannehill can sling the ball around, and the matchups are great, in the secondary. So yeah, Tannehill's in play there, but we'll see what happens with Stafford because that's going to affect the line and how the game flow would go too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, let's take a look at the next guy, another running quarterback on the other side of that game I was just talking about. I'm looking at Jalen Hurts. I was pretty impressed with Jalen Hurts last week. I think he's I think he's a pretty good passer, pretty good accuracy. He can obviously throw on the run. He's not really known for that, but he went up against New Orleans, 167 passing yards and a passing touchdown. Okay, then he gets rushing yards. He gets over 100 rushing yards. So on DraftKings, you get the 100-yard rushing bonus. The fact he hasn't had a rushing touchdown yet tells me because of the way this guy runs and the way the scheme is that he's due for some touchdown positive regression there. So I could in when you're a quarterback, if you can get a rushing touchdown, I think that's pretty valuable because you're getting the 6 points there. So I expect him to have a big game on the ground here against Arizona, but also put up somewhere around 200 passing yards and probably a passing touchdown as well. And if he can do that at his cheap price tag here, 6,900 on FanDuel, 59 on DK, he's going to get the job done there. So I think that they're going to be playing from behind. It's a great game script. I like that two-man game with him and Miles Sanders. I like his targets. He's got both tight ends. He's got okay receivers. I think he can really get the job done against Arizona. And he should be able to get a lot of possessions in a fast-paced game on both sides. They're going to really play at a high pace. So I look for this Arizona-Philadelphia game to smash the over on that 49 over/under, and I look for Jalen Hurts to be a big part of that. So I do like him this week, and I think he could be a star in the making. If you're willing to bench a quarterback that you paid, what they paid Carson Wentz $140 million or something. If you're willing to bench him for this guy probably is pretty good, right? Otherwise, why would you bench your $140 million guy? But besides the fact he's playing like crap, but I'm just saying that tells you something about this guy, how talented he is, that he's able to take that job.
Yeah, it does. And I think he's worth a look at that price. I think this is the one game where you and I are looking at it a little bit differently this week. I'm not as confident in this game smashing the over. I know Arizona has the good pace. My concern is if there are so many runs from these quarterbacks, we know Philly likes to get it to Sanders and run the ball, try to control the clock. I'm just not sure we're going to get a shootout. But both guys certainly make sense to look at. So the next guy I'm going to look at for quarterback is somebody who has a little bit more experience than Jalen Hurts. His name is Tom Brady. He's gone out there on Sunday a few different times, and this Sunday he gets Atlanta. We've targeted them all the year with quarterbacks. They're almost dead last in passing yardage allowed per game. And last week, Brady had sort of a low volume game, only 23 attempts against Minnesota because they just kept running the ball idiotically against that Tampa run defense, thinking it was going to work to have time of possession. Well, great, you get the time of possession, but you lose the game. So I think in this one, Brady will throw it a little bit more, and I like the price tag on DraftKings at 6,600. So I think, in Atlanta, a little bit better against the run. So I think this is the way you attack them through the air, and I think Brady picks them apart.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to take a look. The next guy, this is another guy that's a pocket passer, similar to Brady. He's not one of those running guys. I'm going to take a look at Jared Goff. You got to love the creativity of the LA Rams offense and how efficient that offense is, and that they can pass or run the ball. They really catch you off guard, all the misdirection, the creativity in the scheme. And it doesn't hurt that they're going up against our favorite team to target right now, probably the New York Jets, one of our favorite teams. The New York Jets are just absolutely decimated in terms of injuries. They were already really bad. They traded away most of their best players, and just their coverage is like, among the worst in the league right now. So when you have, good wide receivers like they do and good tight ends, there's going to be guys wide open, and Jared Goff can sit back there and do whatever he wants. I mean, they will run the ball as well, but the Jets tend to be more competitive on the run game compared to the pass game. But their coverage is so bad, middle of the road, pass rush, really bad coverage, that Jared Goff is going to be able to sit back there and pick them apart. And you're looking at huge favorites here, 17-point favorites, at home against the Jets that have to travel across the country, and an implied total over 30. And I don't think the Rams are going to have any problem pouring on the points and to continue to pass, into the second half here. Obviously, they will get some production in the running game as well. So it's a low over-under, but all the points should be scored on the Rams side here. So I look for the Rams to pour it on and really make a statement here and take advantage of this, exploit this matchup against the New York Jets. And, of course, you love the wide receivers that we'll mention in the wide receiver show that you can partner with Jared Goff. I don't see how these guys can cover him. So, yeah, fire up Jared Goff this week. He's a mid-priced guy, and I think he's worth his price this week.
Yeah, I like Goff here. Definitely worth considering for all the reasons you mentioned. The one reason for me that he's a little bit more of a GPP play is just because, in the last 3 games, he's only had 2 passing touchdowns. And the Rams are one of those teams, they like to run it inside the 10. They just keep feeding Akers left and right. But great matchup, so he certainly could smash, no doubt about it. All right, next guy for me is Mr. Trubisky. And we've joked about him recently, kind of coming back into relevance. And he gets Minnesota. They have not been good against the pass this year. He's coming off a game of 267 and 3 scores against Houston. Minnesota 23rd against the pass this year. And Minnesota, the 3-point favorites on BetUS, over under 47. So if it's a tight game, he's going to keep throwing it. So I like Trubisky here as a GPP option if you want to save a little money. Okay,
awesome. And I'm going to go right back to the old running quarterbacks here. I'm going to go to Taysom Hill. We'll see this. This might be, we'll see what happens with Drew Brees. Might be the last game that Taysom Hill starts, and he really hasn't disappointed. He's played pretty good in the time he's been in there, and obviously dual threat quarterback. He's getting more familiar with throwing the ball to Kamara and kind of utilizing the weapons. He's got good rapport with Michael Thomas, and obviously he gets the job done in the rushing game as well. So he's had some games where he's had a couple rushing touchdowns, a couple passing touchdowns, but he hasn't had the combination game yet. I feel like this week, he's going up against Kansas City. He's going to have to really be able to air it out if they're playing from behind. And I think he can get the job done in the rushing and the passing game and hopefully get a touchdown in each category or more and get the job done there. It's a great game script at home in Kansas City in a shootout game, one of the highest over-unders. Again, we mentioned that with Mahomes, 51.5, 3-point underdog. So it's a good spot for a quarterback to be able to scramble around, throw the ball all around, and try to keep up with this fast-paced Kansas City offense attack here. So I like Taysom Hill. I think he's a guy that can get it done. He's still reasonably priced. He's $7,500 on FanDuel, $6,000 on DK is pretty cheap in my opinion. So I think he's going to get the job done in this shootout environment. I like this game in New Orleans here, Kansas City, New Orleans game.
Yeah, very encouraging with Hill to see him last week at 291 yards passing and 2 scores. KC really going to have to respect his arm now, and it's a good matchup on the ground. So I think he takes advantage and has a strong game. He's got an awesome floor. 4 games, every game over 18 fantasy points on DraftKings, and 3 of them over 20. So really good cash option, decent GPP option as well. We've got one more GPP option we're going to give out for our members. And why would you want to be a member with us? Well, we give out full lineups that you can plug into FanDuel. On the main slate, we give a cash lineup and a GPP lineup. Then on DraftKings, we give out our coach's clipboard with core plays and pivots. And there's 2 ways to join us as a member. If you want to focus on the DFS side, go to our website, dfscoachtalk.com, and sign up for whichever length of time you want, a week, a month, or all winter. There's a package for $149. It takes you to April 1st, and it gives you all of our lineups in every sport. NFL every slate, NBA every slate, PGA when it starts up in January, MLB. So we'd love to have you there. Or if you're into the sports betting, we have this tremendous offer from BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa, and instead of making the $149 payment with us, make your deposit there, and you're going to get to use that $149 on BetUS and get that same membership with us all winter long. So it's the best offer we've ever had. Take advantage of it. Use the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, when you make your deposit at BetUS. Any questions, just look us up on Twitter. We're at DFS Coach Talk. You can also find Shane at DET Sports Shane. I am at Language Olympic, and the coach is at JOESARVADI. If you could on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and check out our other podcasts. We've got the running backs show coming up, as well as the wide receiver tight ends show for the main slate here in week 15. So lots going on, lots to get to. Appreciate you all joining us here on this one. On behalf of Shane Caldwell and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team, I am Andrew Hansen, and we'll see you on our other position podcasts as we look to crush it in DFS.